What's going? Well, welcome back to another episode of the Uncommon Man Pod. I'm Mark. This is Rob, and for those that don't recognise him, this is Josh. Josh, you're looking great, mate. Since the last
Thanks, man. Testimony to Rob and his work. Do you know what? Do you know I've got one regret? I'm going to throw it out there now. I didn't take any pictures of myself at the beginning.
Now,
I've got pictures of me.
Yeah.
But not like...
It wasn't about that, though, was it?
Yeah. That's
like,
all it was.
But then as soon as you start to make progress, you're like, damn, I wish it... Because it is satisfying having those
Of course, man. Yeah, of course. It would have been really satisfying. But I was... Honestly, I think the reason I haven't got a picture is because of what a bad place I was in with how I looked.
Yeah.
I could not...
I remember whenever it was like 7 years ago or something, when I did my first ever like PT qualification, and the instructor said, you know, if you take on a client and they're not in a great place, the last thing they want is a measuring tape put around their tummy or like told to send in topless photos. I thought that was like a really good point. Some people might be okay. They might be like really motivated by it, but until you've got to know that person and know how what their mindset is, that might be really like triggering for them. It might be really hard to do. So yeah, I thought you'd be one of those.
Yeah, mate, very much so. But I feel fucking so good, man.
Nice. I was going to say, apart from looking lean and mean, you feeling good?
Yeah, like look, by the way, I'm a newly converted, so it's all I talk about, but the not eating sugar has given... So, you know, I hear people talk all the time about like... Because I've watched for the last 10, 15 years, since I started going to the gym in my 20s, I've watched loads of fitness people talking about stuff all of the time. And when people talk about these crashes or energy levels or when I eat this, I have a crash, I've never understood what they're talking about. I've always thought, I don't really know what you're talking about. But the energy levels that I've got is like something I've never experienced before from completely stopping the sugar.
Yeah.
And by the way, when I
everything,
completely stop, for most people it would be reducing to nothing. It's just because I'm so addictive at the moment. It's just better for me to not do it at all.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's how. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do just a Saturday or whatever.
Yeah. Nice one, mate. Well done.
And you, Rob, how are you?
Do you want me to take my top off before you? Is that?
Who do you tops off at? Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I've got, for the first time in, what is it? Jesus, 14 years, I've got to submit an essay this week. I know why you were doing that face. But I'm doing a coaching with neuroscience course at the moment. And it's fantastic. I'm absolutely loving it at the moment.
What, life coaching or?
It's coaching with neuroscience.
Yeah, it's not your PT stuff as well.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah,
it's nothing fitness related, nothing nutrition related. And the instructor on the course, she's awesome, just like so knowledgeable, really good teacher. And when you find someone like that who you kind of gravitate towards and really good at teaching, and you feel that like you're learning really well, it's such a good feeling. And I've kind of missed that for a while, like really just putting myself in an environment where I'm like really learning, really taking on new stuff, stretching myself a bit mentally. Like I do it a lot physically, but like mentally, I'm finding it really, really good. But I've got to submit this essay this week. And it's kind of been quite interesting because at school, I would write the essay the morning it was due. You know, I would leave it to the absolute last minute and I would smash it out, and I'd always get by with my grades. Like they would always be fine, and so I never had that feedback of like you've failed and therefore you got to change your actions. It was always just good enough to then do it again next time. So I'm really trying to like challenge myself to kind of rewire myself a little bit and not go into those old patterns. So I was quite proud. I actually like did like an essay plan and like did all that sort of stuff, and I've got a plan what I'm writing each day this week. And so it's been really, really good. Learnt loads of great stuff which I'm already kind of using with clients. It's great. Yeah.
And you found that you told me about that website, plagiarismyessay.com.
Yes, exactly. Well, AI, you can do anything.
Chat or whatever it's called. Yeah.
That's interesting though about the like I'm the opposite to you in that respect of that I'm like almost obsessively over prepared for stuff, and if I don't, then I feel like anxious about it. And it's something I'm working on at the moment. I since the start of the year having therapy, and one of the rounds is that perfectionism and not having to be super prepared for everything all the time. And one of the things he suggested to me is like almost go into things feeling a bit underprepared just to see that it's actually okay.
Yeah.
And that's when I did a nutrition talk a few weeks back. And just because of schedule anyway, I couldn't prepare as much as I normally would have. But going into it, I was like, I'm delivering a slightly new workshop, but on content that I know like the back of my hand. But previously I would have like, for 2 days, almost like rehearsed the hell out of it, that unless I did that, I'd have been super anxious. And actually I said to Rob afterwards, so how did it go? I was like, yeah, it's probably one of the best ones I've done, because it was less it was real, because I was just kind of delivering it on the fly, asking the audience what they needed from the session, and like kind of sculpting content to that. So I'm always trying to do the opposite of you in that, not being as prepared for stuff all the time, to try and just.
But you know, I think the difference is as well, though, when you're on a subject matter that you are so passionate about and you know about, I think it's a lot easier to do that. Like you talking about food and cooking or whatever, you could go into those sessions without having prepared anything and it would probably go really well. Same with you, Josh, when you're talking about your subject matter.
Trimming up,
smashing the gym, exactly.
Crushing it in the gym.
And it's like...
Sorry.
But I think that when you're operating in alignment with your kind of your interests and your passions, you can get into a bit more of like a flow state with it, can't you?
Yeah.
And that's when it becomes so rewarding for both you, but also the audience is probably getting a lot more from it. The experience is probably a lot better. Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Before we go any further,
ginger shots.
Moju.
No, yeah, they got in contact with me, and they're going to be sending us some.
Oh, really?
When?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, at some point, I need to go back to them with my address. It's on me actually, but
you've let the side down.
We need to have like some sort of like sound effect in the podcast when we do that. Ginger shot.
Who's going first?
I'll go first. I always go last.
Can you do it straight in the eye this week?
I bet you used to do that tequila thing.
Yeah.
What is it? Salt in the eye? No, tequila in the eye. Salt. Sniff this.
That's it.
Salt. Or was it lemon?
Lemon in the eye. Sniff the salt.
Down the hatch.
Go on, in one.
God, that was a hesitation there.
Good lad. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. I'm going. I'm ready.
Oh, that's gingery.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
It's my favourite.
Yeah.
I'm actually just gonna
ASMR.
Oh yeah, that's weird. That shit, isn't it?
I'm just gonna sip on this if that's okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Get out.
Don't peer pressure me.
You can't sip it. Wait a minute.
Okay, come on then. Bottoms up.
That's the whole thing.
Sipping it.
That's the only thing we kind of regularly have is the ginger shot.
Oh yeah.
It's the only plan we've got. Oh, all right.
I wanted to tell you something that I learned on my coaching course. They got a bunch of like these additional resources and stuff, and I was watching this video. And have you come across a guy called Dr. John DeMartini?
Don't.
It rings a bell, but maybe. But
then the drink after.
Yeah, his tagline is "Shaken, not stirred."
The Jamaican one.
But I was watching a video. He had a really interesting take on values, and I wanted to ask you guys on this because I'd be interested in your thoughts. So, going through a values assessment or thinking about your values is quite a common thing in any kind of personal development or coaching or whatever, right? And when I've always done that, I've come up with, it's usually bold, creative, and kind. They're the three which I kind of land on most often, no matter what angle I kind of come at. But this guy was talking about how if there isn't evidence in your life of those things in action right now, then he doesn't believe that they're your values. You're not valuing them.
Right.
They're just aspirations of how you'd like to live. Like they're just kind of fairy tale, whatever. And he does this whole like values assessment thing, and he asks some really interesting questions, and I wanted to pose it to you guys. So I'll give you one, Josh, and I'll give you one, okay? So Josh, where in your life are you most organized and ordered?
It's hard to answer because probably in my home life because Leah organises it all. That's not the right answer, is it? So you're talking about things that I organise.
Yeah, where I know, because I know you. Anyway, I'll let you answer. Yeah, anything. It can be any area, anything.
Like my content, I'm quite organised
Okay.
on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still quite last minute when I do that stuff.
Yeah, but you
So,
are, but
in a way, it's
How often do you post out of interest? I can't like
pretty
is it
much every day.
every day.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't often miss a day. So it's organised chaos. But yeah, with my content and stuff that I produce, I'm pretty organised. And when I go and play football,
yeah,
in the morning, like the way that I set my bag out
yeah.
and my football kit and all that, yeah, they're probably the two things that spring to mind where I really
Yeah.
am like methodical in the
Yeah.
way that I do it. Yeah.
Okay, so based on those, and there'll be loads of other questions as well, but like you've picked out social media, or you could say that that's within the sort of marketing of your business, growing your business,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then you've got your football,
Yeah.
right? So they're two things which you really, really value, and we knowing you, it's definitely sort of true, right?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And Mark, what do you spontaneously read about, listen about, learn about without needing any encouragement?
Probably food.
Food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily just nutrition, but like food techniques, food history. I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything about food.
And I so what he gets to, so there's a bunch of these questions, which I think those two questions I hadn't heard before, in a way to get to the values. And obviously we all know each other well. The answers are quite obvious, but for some people, it can kind of bring about different interesting answers, right? But what he talks about is, and you were talking about just then when you were talking about food and doing that workshop and presentation, how it came really naturally. You didn't have to sort of prepare as much or whatever. When we are not in alignment with those, and when we're kind of putting ourselves in situations where we're not spending time doing that, we're like moving against the grain of our life. So like wood has a grain, you know, when you cut chicken, do you know what I mean? Like the grain of the chicken. We're putting ourselves in a situation where we're almost setting ourselves up for failure, which is really interesting. And so he talks about even like, people that are diagnosed with ADHD or believe that they have ADHD or they're exhibiting those types of symptoms. Often it can be because they're just in an environment which is just not set up for the way they learn or what they find interesting. And so it's no wonder that you can't hold your attention or you're not spending the time doing it, whatever it is. And I just think that constantly I went through that and I was like, okay, what am I landing on here? And I kind of got to the point where I was thinking, when I am helping someone to grow in any kind of way, whether it's fitness or in their life or whatever, that is what I love doing. Like if and everything I kind of learn about and read about is typically helping myself grow or how I can help someone else grow. I thought that was really, really sort of interesting. But yeah, have you ever done any kind of values work?
With the values stuff, what was his name?
John DeMartini.
The point he makes about if it's not in your life right now, it's not a value.
Yeah.
Can the values be fluid though? Like, could your value?
They can change.
So
yeah.
Therefore, it's maybe not one of your values right now.
Yeah.
Or so it's either it is a value for you and you want to get more of it into your life, or actually it's not a value right now.
So
it changes.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, someone wants to start a business, and they always say, I'd love to start my own business one day, but there's no evidence in their life that they're actually doing anything about it.
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up to have a life of misery, basically, because you've got this idea that I'd love to like run a business, but you're not actually doing anything about. Maybe actually that isn't something that you truly want to do. Maybe it's that you're seeing other people do it and you are you're coveting what they've got, but it's not actually what's true to you. You've moved away from what you really value. And actually what you value is being in an environment around loads of people where you have strong connections, and it doesn't matter as much whether you're like running the business or not.
I've always, whenever I've looked at values type stuff, I've looked at it as a way to like approach each day, which will probably change across my life, but rather than like running your own business or run a marathon or whatever it might be, of like I have words that I don't always get it right by any means, but like if I can think about approaching situations with those, so some of mine, for instance, like love in all the meanings of love, like love my partner, as much as I can, but also bring love to other people in my days, like greet you guys with a hug, make you feel like wanted and happy, and these sorts of things. The other one's like presence, to try and be more present in everything I'm doing, but also the love could be like, I'm in a difficult business situation, can I bring empathy and love to that conversation? I think that is, for me, was a better way to look at values, rather than like, as you said, those aspirational things that, and if you don't achieve them, you're like, oh well, I didn't live up to my values, when actually that's not. It could be I'm creative, and part of that is starting my own business, or I'm creative, so that didn't work, I'm going to look at something else creative. But so that's something we've often talked about, like values and purpose stuff, finding hard, right?
Yeah.
Where do you?
I think
Because yours quite clear. I think you have a quite clear from outside, especially from your social media, like purpose in life of what you're doing.
Yeah, I do. I mean, like, I would say that, like, the direction of my purpose is driven by the people that I'm looking to support, right? So if you look at my content, it's often driven by what seems to be resonating with people. I do think, just on I wanted to pick up on a point that you said about the values and stuff. I do think that we often ignore the environmental factors and stuff like that can play a big part. Because I've always wanted to run a business. I've always wanted to work for myself. But if I go back to when I was like 19, 20 and I used to watch Dragon's Den, it felt like a pipe dream. But I knew it was something I'd love to do. But if I look back now at the circumstances of my life, I was struggling to kind of stay alive at that point. Though my values were probably at the heart still the same as what they are now, my lifetime circumstances and choices and decisions and things that I had made were having a huge impact on how I could live out my values.
But you were watching Dragon's Den. So that in itself is like you're spending an hour watching something and learning about, seeing how people, business ideas and pitching and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that was probably all I was doing.
Yeah. But that was probably, the start of...
Yeah, but what I would say is that when I really made a decision, and this is always like, this comes back to, I think, being able to listen to your struggles. So I knew I was getting depressed in my old job. I was getting really down and I hated it, and I knew I wanted to do something different. Now, it would be easy to feel stuck in there. Not easy. It makes sense to feel stuck in there. Very dead end. I had big bills, a family and all of that sort of stuff to pay for. So what I did is I knew I wanted to help and support people. I started doing a lot of charity stuff. One, because I wanted to, and two, because I needed to bring some purpose and start to be able to do my values in my life, because my job was giving me none of those things. And then I also had in the back of my head, if I find a charity that I become really aligned with, you never know, they might give me a full-time job or something like that. And so it was kind of accidentally, and I was lucky that I stumbled across NACOA when I did, but I was also actively seeking it and looking for it as well, because I didn't feel like I was living in my values and in my purpose in the old job that I was in. But I recognized the importance of values and purpose, so I was willing to go and do them on a voluntary basis to try and bring them into my life.
Yeah.
So I do think, like, I think so many people are struggling in our, and we're calling it a mental health problem and trying to look for what must be wrong in the person, when actually what's missing from their life is the ability to be able to live in their purpose and in their values.
Yeah.
100%. They're stuck in dead-end jobs. Yeah. Don't know how to get out of them. Don't know how they'd ever leave it. Like, it makes sense if you feel shit. Do you know what I mean? But we sort of just straight away go, well, loads of people are in jobs they hate, so there must be a problem within you.
Yeah.
Do you just feel that you're living your values and your purpose, or do you have them ever, like, do you have anything written out, like, to make sure you're aligned with that, or is it just something you like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to live my life doing? Like, how do you know if something aligns with your values and purpose? Just to feel wrong if it's not aligned, or it's a big question.
No, but like, I feel like I've reached a really simplistic way of my life. I've built what I do to a stage now where I'm fortunate in I get to kind of pick and choose what I want to do if I want to do it. And I've got my family, my social circle's right down very small now. I have people are only in my life if I want them in my life. I don't have any like things. There's nothing in my life now that I'm doing. It's very rare I'm doing something and I'm thinking, I don't want to be doing this and I'm doing it because I have to. That's very, very rare that happens.
Yeah.
Because I've just got to a stage in my life where I'm like, if it doesn't feel aligned, I do care what people think, but I'm at the stage where I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, and I won't do it. So it becomes quite simple and easy, really. Yeah. If I'm doing it, it's normally because it's within my values and my belief system. But that's took work to get there. Because if you go back 2 years ago, I was doing quite a lot I was often doing stuff that felt against the grain. You know, I remember having conversations with Hass and stuff and being like, I've got to do this. And he was like, why have you told him you could do it? And it's because I fucking have bills to pay. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now I can be a bit like, if it feels uncomfortable, I just won't do it.
And when there's those parts of the job that, because there's always parts of the job, for most people anyway, that they're slightly annoying to do, but they come with your passion. Like there are certain parts of it, and they talk about how you use a process called linking. So you take that job and you think, how is that linking to serving those other values? Okay, so is that thing which you have to do actually going to be really useful for your marketing long term, for your business, allowing you to do those holidays with the families and blah, blah, blah. And so you get it at the forefront of your mind rather than being in the mindset of, why the fuck do I have to do this shit?
Yeah.
You think, this is why I'm doing it, because it's leading to this, and you keep that right front and center. It's like I've tried to really work on that recently. It's like I've set myself some big goals, and for me, I'm very, very visual. And so I need them written like in front of me where I work all the time. Because the number of times where I might pick up my phone and I'll scroll and I'll glance at my little board, which has my goals on, and I put the phone away. It pulls me back every time. And so I strengthen that link, which I find really helpful. And when I'm working with people with their fitness, I work with quite a lot of people that, going back to some of those questions, they're not spontaneously reading, learning, doing stuff around fitness. I am. Okay, so I've got to be. They're not in the same mindset as me. I can't make the assumption that they care so much about this stuff like I do. So I've got to work out what they do value, and then I've got to get them to make it really clear how the fitness and looking after their health is serving that. So if they've got kids in their family and they want to have good energy and be present, and they want to be healthy long into their years, let's keep that at the forefront of like why you're doing it, rather than potentially some sort of body composition thing which they actually don't care about that much.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, that's like finding your why, innit? That's Simon Sinek,
exactly.
is it? He talks a lot about it. Like, don't do it for, you're not getting out of bed in the morning because you want to earn X amount of money. You want to take your kids to Disneyland next weekend. Yeah. Like, that's why I'm doing what I do.
Yeah.
And that's me and Leah, my wife, we're pretty good at that. Like, quite often, if I'm doing something that's like, I'm a bit like, I've got to go and do this, we'll always be like, just remember why you're doing it. And it's for them moments. For me, it's all about the moments I have with the family.
Yeah. Let's bring about that. If someone does give you a goal around, I want to lose 15 pounds, you ask them why once, they give them why again, and usually by the third why there's a deeper reason of, actually I just want to feel more comfortable naked, or I also want to feel better in my clothes, and you ask them excuse me, why again, and you come back to a deeper, which is that why. And having it, like I used to, when I had nutrition clients, PT clients, those sort of things, having it visual, like I'm a big fan of surgery, like your screensaver or something that you see regularly. I know the return the whiteboard's come out, hasn't it? Bob's got this great whiteboard that he writes on. You used to use it like a bit of a brain dump as well, didn't kind of clear the brain. I'm a big fan of making it front and center. So you're like, I think on the phone's a good one because, as you said, if you get distracted, it's like, it's bang, it's there. And I used to have like, save a note on your phone as like some writing, screenshot it and have it as the background. So each time you click on your phone to procrastinate, whatever, it's like, I was back. And just, I think a lot of people have these things in their heads, a lot, especially emotions and stuff that we never really like get out visually. And so they go around in your head, but then you can forget about them quite easily. Get it out then. Something like almost symbolic. You talk a lot about Uncommon Man, and I think you've done some work with Pat Dibley, maybe with like ceremonial things. I think there's something ceremonial about setting some goals or values of like dedicating, getting a nice notebook or not even just like a really good quality piece of paper and writing stuff out and like having it somewhere that you're proud of. Like people come into your house like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's just something I'm working on at the moment. Like I'm looking to get a bit kind of healthier and fitter because I want to be able to support my kids as I get older, and like owning it and priding that.
Yeah, that last point's really good because it's like putting it out there in the world and talking about it is such a massively improves your chance to get there, because then suddenly what you're doing is you're getting all these accountability places, accountability sort of lines. So it's like if I say to someone that I'm going to do something, then that probably the slight shame of not doing it and the effects on potentially how they view me or status, if you really want to bring it back, I hold myself to account a lot better knowing that other people are also aware.
And I think it helps to have vision of where you're going, innit? Like, just quickly before I say where I was going to go with it, I think a lot of particularly men, right, that are listening to this podcast won't be doing anything at all. There's a lot of people that do not, like before I got into this and when my life changed, I wouldn't even reflect on whether I was a good dad or a good husband or whether I was doing well in my role. Yeah. So I think even the act of starting to explore it and speak about how could I be a better dad, you know, there's not many men out there. I think it's easy to get lost in the kind of spaces that we're in now with things like Uncommon Man. There's lots of blokes that turn up for Uncommon Man. They've never had another conversation with a man about what they might be struggling with.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So even starting it, I think's really important. But that kind of knowing your values, knowing what you want, for me, it's always family. Yeah. Like the main things for me is family and taking my kids places. So this weekend, we're going to Disneyland, right? In a few days, going to Disneyland in Paris, taking all of the kids there, all 6 of the kids, me and my wife. But last year, I said to Leah, next year, and I looked it all up. I said, look, there's a house, this house, and I priced it all up. I said, if we all flew over there, stayed in this house for the weekend, this is how much it would cost, yeah? And I said, and I'd like to do that next year. Now, at the time when I was bringing that out, speaking it was unrealistic. And then here we are. By the end of last year, I had booked it ready. And so last weekend, literally, I was looking at a massive villa on Miami Beach for 10 nights, all of us over there, flights and everything. And I went to Leah and I said, here's the price of it. Yeah. And I said, can Mark and Rob come? We're going to do Uncommon Man over there. But I really believe in some of that, like speaking it and then having a goal to work towards. I know people over-egg the kind of manifestation pudding, and like
just manifest it.
Just manifest it and it'll come true. But I do think when you're like the people that we are, where we're really working towards things and I'm really trying to build something, having those personal goals and the things that I want to achieve for my family really help, because that massive villa with all these pools in it and that in Miami, that's going to make me do that job or get up and, you know, start to do something that I wouldn't have done way more than anything else will. Do you know what I mean? The idea that could come true if I pushed it.
And as you said, some people listening might not have even looked at that yet. I think it's really important to include, if you have a partner or a close friend, someone in that process to say, I've thought about my values and my purpose. This is what I've come up with. Either you're asking them, what do you think? Or just saying, these are my values and purpose that I want to live by more often. This is something I actually done with my partner to say, this is what I want to aspire more often to live by these values, so that when I'm a bit grumpy, I'm a bit moody, or I'm just being a bit of an arsehole, she's coming from empathetic, not to throw it in my face, to say, listen, you spoke to me about this. You said you want to live more like this, but you're not quite acting like that. And having that like involvement with them so that you both can kind of like grow and achieve together. So thinking about doing it by yourself to initially to like think about what are those things that you really love or value in life, but having someone almost as accountability, but also to be part of your teammate, to have your back. And if you don't have a partner that is like that, it's also like maybe a flag to say you haven't necessarily got the right partner that can have your back in that aspect, if you know what I mean.
Having that, when you said team, like that's actually something when I did some reflections on my relationship, it's like something I wanted to just have more of a open conversation with Roz about what in my head my goals are they aligned with your goals? Okay, cool, let's work on this together. And it gives you that amazing sense. Bringing that sort of like that team feeling into a relationship is really cool. You're already doing it as well.
Because mine was up until like, so I'm been with my partner now 8-9 months, and I up to this point I've kind of been like, I've got my own struggles and things to deal with that I'm working on, and whenever I get anxious or in a bad state, I'm like, oh, this is my shit to deal with, like I need to be better, work better. And she's like, yes, it is your stuff, but I'm also your teammate, like I want to help you. Whereas like previously I've been like, no, it's fine, like I need to deal with this, this for my problem to deal with. But like having that team aspect to let go and be like, it's all right to be a bit shitty, they're going to still have your back and help you, is a really nice feeling to have.
I think that's another common thing that men do as well, by the way, is like we hold it all into ourselves and then we make our own assumptions. And until you've got somebody who cares about you to cast an eye over what you're talking about, you're always struggling alone. I always use the example, when we used to take the kids swimming, it's gone now, but there was this big dome where we would take the kids swimming. And I used to get really angry with the kids when I was there. And it wasn't until I started having a chat with Leah about it, and she was like, say to me, I feel like you don't want to be here. And like when I got truthful, I was like, I really get really angry when we're at swimming. I started to realise that what was happening is loads of kids about, the noise echoing all off it used to make me really overwhelmed, and I dealt with my overwhelm by getting angry. So once we sort of realised that and established that in that kind of team space that you're talking about, when we went again, if I start to get angry, she knows, okay, she's a bit more level-headed because she isn't overwhelmed like me. She'll say, come on, you're doing all right. Yeah. Can we do another 20 minutes? Like, I get it. You're overwhelmed, but you're right. And instantly, I go from like going like to being like, okay, I'm not alone in this. I'm supported in it. Whereas what I used to do is just get angry with the kids, get angry with her. Argument happens, and you're all dealing with your own shit on your own rather than collectively in a team. Yeah. So it is so important. Hass used to say to me, actually, make sure that you're taking people on the journey with you. Do you know what I mean? Don't run off into the sunset on your own while you're growing what you're doing. Make sure you keep people with you. It's so true, man.
Yeah. I'll
bring you two. I'm dragging you both along with me. That's why I've lost all the weight, carrying you two. Yeah.
I've got a friend over in Ireland called Owen who runs actually a men's group in Ireland called Blue Balls, because they do cold sea dipping as well, sea immersion as well. And he was
such a cool name.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's good. But he was saying that something which has been great in his relationship has been having a bit more of like a formal weekly check-in, basically. So like, we're actually allocating, I don't know how long it is, half an hour or whatever, to just, even if they kind of know the stuff that's been going on that week, but just sort of reflecting on it and checking in with each other and talking about the week ahead. And I really love that. I think that's such a cool thing to do. And some people I know listening would be like, that's fucking mad, like just like so formal. But the value and the benefits I think you can get from that real open communication. I mean, we found it exactly what we do with Uncommon Man, right? It's like, yeah, guys chit chat and whatever. They're technically talking, but are they really communicating? Talking.
Yeah. And I realise how little people do that, because I remember saying to somebody once, work-wise, I'm like really busy this week. And then like in the call, I said, yeah, busy, loads on, whatever. And then at the end of the call, he said to me, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, I got the afternoon off. I'm working in the morning. I got the afternoon off. Me and my missus are going to Bath, doing like a spa and all that. And he was like, well, you just said you were busy. And it's like, it's interesting, isn't it? I'm like, well, yeah, I am, because that's in the diary.
Yeah.
Like, I'm making sure
this is what I value.
Yeah, it's what I
value it more than you, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Basically. Yeah, and he's seeing that as well. You're not busy if you're just going to chill out with your missus. Yeah, but I'll often tell people I'm busy, because I am, but it's because I've blocked loads of space. You know, I'm going with the kids, or I'm taking Friday off because we're going away and all that sort of stuff. And in my mind, that's a really good point about where it shows your values, right? Because that's like steadfast in my mind sometimes, you know. No, I'm not working Friday because I've booked this in to go and do.
You've got to be protective of those.
You have, man.
Like we were on another podcast recently talking about being protective of like my morning routine is very important to me.
Yeah.
Wanting to kind of come into a day having done something for myself, had a really nice breakfast, and then roll in. And you got to be protective of, otherwise just work will take over your life.
Yeah.
So we were asked to be on the podcast in the morning, and went back being like, can't do the morning, can we do the afternoon? And that's fine. And the reason, there was nothing in the diary, but it's like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
That free time is imperative to setting me up for the day, and the same with Mark. And so when you have those realizations and you know that that's something that you need or value, you've got to then protect it, like you said. You have to. And if you're not, then you're just at the mercy of everyone else.
Yeah.
Everyone else's time.
Yeah.
You'll never get anywhere. You'll never get anywhere. And it's like, I'm realizing there's so many, I always had this thing, it's like, there's so many things I want to do. Like, I'm constantly getting excited and enthusiastic about different things, but there is not the time or energy to do them all. And so, especially if you're doing things like going out and getting pissed or whatever. So that was like one of the decisions I made. It's like, well, if I cut that out, I've got more time to do all the stuff that I really do value.
Yeah. But you see, like it's weird how society views things, right? If you've got a meeting on, say a client come to you and say, can you do tomorrow afternoon? In the email, you might reply and say, I can't do tomorrow afternoon, we've got an event on. Yeah, you might say that, all right, if you had an event on and that's why you couldn't do it. But I noticed if I've got an event on or I've got another session, sorry, I'm delivering a session, then I'll say that in the email. But often I'll stop myself in an email from saying, I can't do tomorrow because I'm going out with the kids.
I just don't give a reason. I say I can't do tomorrow.
What? So you'd say I can't do tomorrow, but if you had an event on, you would say I've got an event on, or would you say I can't do tomorrow? My point is that we'll happily say I've got an event tomorrow, but if we've got the kids, we will do what you do, which is can't do tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is it? What is it about saying no? I'm with the kids tomorrow.
I think also a bit of a part of it. I might be wrong, but I know if in my case it might be like I want to tell you that I'm busy with work. So it's as much about
that side. So you want to tell them that they're busy. You want to show that you're busy. Why do you not want to show that you're a good dad?
I know exactly
with the kids. That's my exact point. Yeah, that we don't want to show off that bit.
Yeah,
which is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah,
I find it like super interesting that we don't want to brag about the kids, and brag might be too strong a word, but it's true, right? I want to let you know that I'm at an event tomorrow, so I can't do it. But I stop short of letting you know that I'm gonna be with the kids. Or can't do in the morning, I'm doing a school run. I've never said that in an email.
I have said the nursery run.
I really actually respect that when someone, I think it's become more accepted that I really like it when someone's like, oh, sorry, I can't do that time because I've got to do the school run. It's like, I don't know why, I actually really like it.
I love it, man. Yeah.
Like I'm prioritizing taking my kids to school and starting that. I'm like, I don't have kids, but I love that.
I do like that. I tell you what I don't like is when people take it too far. And have you ever had an out of office where it's like, sorry, I'm not in the office today because I'm on a well-being day. Once a month, I take time off to have a well-being day. And I'm better than you because I do that. Have you ever had one of those out of offices?
I actually have.
Yeah, they fucking annoy me.
Yeah.
I'll give it a rest, will you?
What was you?
Sorry.
Do you ever put an out of office on?
No.
You go away, do you have no?
No, do you know what? I'm a little bit like... It's changing a little bit now that I've got people around me, you know, like Deb's doing it, like that answers a lot of the emails. But normally I'm a bit like, if I go away for a week, I run my own stuff, yeah. So I kind of, I know I'm going to check my emails. So if it's really important, I'll come back, and if it's not, I'm a bit like you can wait.
Yeah.
I don't like if you expect an email back from me within a day when it really doesn't warrant being back in a day. I then. Screw you.
I've actually felt a little bit bad recently because I've dropped the ball a little bit with getting back to people who have got in contact with me. This is the thing. It's like they're valuing it potentially more than me, so I'm kind of deprioritizing this communication in place of other things.
You're panicking now in case someone's listening, thinking,
"No, I don't mind."
People he's not emailed back.
I was speaking. I was speaking to someone about it last night, and I just said to them, I was like, "I'm sorry, mate. I've been really bad at replying to people recently," and he was actually really cool. He was like, "Oh no, man, I get it." But what I was going to ask you was, did you get to that point, and that's why you got Debs involved? Like, were you finding it hard to just like, you should be going back to these things because otherwise you're just blanking people? That's the hard thing when someone emails.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed a little bit for me over the years because some of the like emails that I get, sometimes I get a lot now where it's like people can't expect me.
Like fan mail and stuff.
Yeah, just like, can you send me dirty boxer shorts? No, right. No, but I get like, I get a lot of emails where it's a bit like, people can't expect me to always. So sometimes if it was like a big, long share, I'd read as many as I could, and I was quite comfortable thinking I can just respond to as many as I can. Debs will respond to a lot of them now. I do still try and read as many of them as I can.
Yeah.
But like no, on the business side of things, as at like the corporate stuff, I think when I first started out, I felt like I had to go back straight away. Whereas now I'm just a bit like, sometimes I feel like we should all just chill out a little bit more. Like when I get sometimes an out of office from somebody that says, I'm at an event today, so I'll respond to your email tomorrow. And I think, fucking hell, what? Some people need telling that they ain't going to come back today.
Yeah.
And when I see them, I think, I do get a bit like, who are these people that need to hear today, or need to be told that they might not get a reply today?
If they need to know something today, they should call you.
Yeah, and I'll go and answer. No, but I tell you another thing as well. Some people, some people will email. This come up this weekend. Debs emailed me the weekend and was like, somebody's chasing for this and somebody else is chasing for that. So I went back last night because I was just clearing some of, I sometimes on the end of a weekend in the evening, I'll clear a few things so I feel like I'm starting fresh the next day. I emailed her back and said, here's the response to that, but don't email them back till Tuesday. If they fucking can't wait for a bank holiday Monday for what they need, if they can't wait till Tuesday, then screw them. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, this comes back to a little bit of being in a position now where I can feel a bit like that, because once upon a time I'd have been like, I need to go back because I need them. But I don't know, man. I remember you posted once on LinkedIn about the emailing out of hours as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm big on, you email me when you want. If somebody gets upset with an email out of hours.
Yeah, but okay. So what that post was about was, if you're emailing someone something which requires quite a lot of thinking, or it requires, or it's calling them up on something, and you send that to them late in the evening.
Yeah.
I think that's unfair, because chances are they're going to read it.
No, man, I disagree with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, massively.
So
don't
you
fucking read your emails then.
That's one point.
That
to
is
have the boundaries
for sure. But there are certain things that you need to be, in certain jobs, you need to be checking emails for stuff. So there will be, like it or not, the way we've structured things, maybe not as much, but we've had clients in the past where actually, no, I do want to be on call for a period of time.
Yeah, there's certain situations where
so I need to be checking my email. Sometimes you need to be on the lookout for certain emails, and then something else comes in and it can really sort of throw you. And so it might not be an urgent thing. They don't need a response then, but because they're working late, they want to dump this stuff on you now. And my post was saying, just wait and send it. Put it like, schedule it for 9 a.m. the next day, because then someone comes in fresh. They can. I'm saying this from personal experience. So I've had it in the evenings where I get an email from someone, something's happened or whatever, and I then can't sleep the whole night.
I still think there's some personal responsibility there, man.
For sure, there is. But I also think that there can be an amount of etiquette that people can have, where it's I'm not just going to land this into your inbox at 9 p.m.
But is the flip side not true? Could I not go, why didn't you fucking send me? You knew about this last night. Why didn't you just send it to me last night? I could have got started on it.
I guess it depends on what.
Is there any good time to deliver bad news? Because if you open at 9, your day's started off crap, but you might be fresher to deal with it.
I think different people. That's why I do think. Don't get me wrong. I understand opening the email and then it triggering you and you not being able to sleep and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. I think there's a bit of personal responsibility on it. I do think that
it's where it's interesting with email, isn't it? It's like where the boundaries kind of are, because it is something that we check all the time, and it's like people can barrage you with emails, which I find very, very frustrating. Chasing you, about why have you not,
I hate that as well.
Hate it. So it's like there's a certain amount of etiquette which I think people should have.
I guess the etiquette's different, isn't it? Because I would be like, don't fucking ring me, email me, and then I can read it when I want.
Like if someone sends me an RC email late at night, they fuck me off. Like I'm not like it's going to be hard to get that relationship back. That I really think it's like it crosses over a line, because I know if it personally affects me in that way, it will affect other people in that way. And maybe you haven't had it before. Have you ever had it where you've had an email come in and it's sent you off? Like,
Yeah. And I've read them at night.
Yeah.
I think you shouldn't have fucking read your email just before bed.
Mm.
I mean, I don't understand. What stuff do you get through where you need to read your email at night? 9 o'clock at night?
Well, okay, it might not be that late, but going
7
into
o'clock at night.
the evening. Yeah, loads of stuff because we have classes after work. We have stuff which we need to, and it's more that you're just probably out of habit sometimes just checking it because you want to check if there's something that has come in that you want to go back to, but yeah,
see,
we're going to go round in circles.
But that's what I would say. Like, you can't have it. You can't. I don't think you can run a business and choose what you want to be on for, can you? That's why I don't think you can. I don't think you can go, oh, well, I want to check it because I want to see if there's any good emails that I can deal with that might. Do you know what I mean? So I would be. I don't know, man. I've never thought about the time that I'm sending an email.
I just think if you're sending an email, that you know is going to be a bit of a hard read for the other person, if you send it to them in the morning, I just think that's a polite thing to do.
I suppose a hard read changes it a little bit.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Never sent one of them because I'm such a nice guy. Would never.
It's also good to draft it, reread it in the morning.
That's a very good point.
Was I a bit harsh there, or do I just click send on this?
Yeah.
Sleep on it and then think about it.
I guess I probably never had a harsh email at night. I've had stuff that it's probably made me think, but never harsh. I've never done a bad bit of work for anyone.
No.
Ever. Just because I do everything so well. So yeah, maybe I'll change my mind. I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna come and meet you halfway.
Okay, nice, thank you.
And then I'll send you a shitty email about it
tonight
at 9 p.m. tonight.
After Uncommon Man. I'm just across the room from you, but you sent me an email
with no subject. Should we have a quick? We got 2 minutes. Should we have a quick chat about Uncommon Man today?
Yeah, we should. We're welcoming back the powerhouse that is Stefan.
Is he back? I saw him last week. He was at my London event. I was like, we're getting you in next week.
Stefan is the photographer and does also video for us for the events, which is good.
We've got Mental Health Awareness Week in May, which is 2 weeks' time, and anxiety is the theme.
Yeah.
Is it? Is anxiety the theme? Right.
Common. You've been doing some work around like regulating your nervous system and stuff around anxiety, haven't you? I'm wondering whether there's something in there tonight because I think a lot of people, myself included, would like to look at like the topic of anxiety, how we deal with it better, don't see things so much as threats and these sorts of things. But it'd be a good one tonight. I think we've sold out again.
Yeah. I think actually there's a few extra people as well, which I said yes to. So I said bring your yoga mat though.
Oh really? Right. Is it that?
Yeah.
That busy?
Yeah. It's
a busy one. I might be able to sit on the roof for a bit.
We'll see. Maybe next month. Warm. Leave those decisions to us.
Yeah. You just do your playlist.
I've got an interesting playlist actually. We'll talk about it off air, but I might use it today. I've had a very good reaction to it in my community online. Yeah.
Lovely.
It's a little bit outside the box though.
Oh, very good.
But yeah, nice. Man, looking forward to it tonight.
Always.
Nice one.
Right, lads.
Cheers.
Good episode.